Did you know there's no evidence to prove that ultra-processed foods are bad for you? So eat them up and be happy. Today's reaction is an article provided to me by Delia. Delia, thank you so much for sending it through. And I've also noticed that a few people in the comments have been talking about this article over the last few days. So thank you very much to everyone for bringing this to my attention. So just before we get into it, please do me a massive favor, smash like, and please click subscribe and help me get to 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Okay, let's get into this article about ultra-processed foods and potentially, are they as bad as we've been led to believe? Okay, so this is an article from The Mirror. Avoiding ultra-processed foods could mean people eat even less healthily. Okay, so let's just break that down. If you avoid ultra-processed foods, that means you could potentially have an even more unhealthy diet than you do now. So let's imagine, think about my diet before carnivore. You know, I was eating on the daily, I was eating things like packets of potato chips. I was eating some breads occasionally. I would eat, ice creams and things like that, right? So, if I had avoided those ultra processed foods, it could potentially have been more unhealthy for me. Okay, so let's get into it. Warnings to avoid ultra processed foods could potentially lead to even unhealthier eating habits, according to researchers. I would say these researchers probably need to get a real job. Two experts, okay, well, they're experts because it says they're experts, okay? Two experts from the universities of Aberdeen and Liverpool, oh, okay, proclaimers and beetles, have argued, well, they're pretty useless if they're just arguing, have argued that research on ultra processed foods is still in its early stages and more information is needed before advising people to stop consuming them. So hang on. So foods that are created by mixing highly palatable ingredients such as sugar and fat and adding chemicals and things with names you can't pronounce so long that the nutrition label costs a lot to print. So many syllables and letters it's unpronounceable, or numbers to represent a chemical that's in there. Telling people not to eat those things is potentially bad. They suggested that public health guidance should continue to emphasize a diet rich in fruit, vegetables, and whole grains, while also limiting foods high in fat, sugar, and salt. So, instead of saying to people, don't eat ultra processed foods, if it comes in a packet, don't eat it because it's not food. If it has a logo, it's not food. If it has a brand, it's not food. If it's got a TV commercial, it's not food. Instead of saying those things, what we're going to say is the same as we've always said. Eat a diet rich in fruits and veggies and whole grains and limit fat and sugar. Yeah, that'll work. It's done so well so far. It's like everyone is a picture of health. Okay, see, this isn't an ad. This girl is going, this is making me crazy. Okay, so ultra processed foods, which include items like ice cream, processed meats, crisps, mass produced bread, some breakfast cereals, biscuits, and fizzy drinks, have been associated with poor health outcomes such as increased risk of obesity, heart disease, cancer, and premature death. Yes, because it's not food, it's ultra processed stuff. It's UPS, it's not UPF. right? It's UPS, ultra processed stuff. These foods often contain high levels of saturated fat, salt, sugar, and additives. I think the combination is bad, but the issue is not so much saturated fat. The issue is the processing and the fact that it contains sugar and chemicals and all these additives, and it's manufactured not to contain a certain level of nutrition. It's manufactured to make it addictive, so that if little Johnny gets his parents to buy him this particular energy bar or cereal or bread or spread for his toast or something, and it's addictive enough, then little Johnny is going to pester his parents every time they go to the supermarket to buy that again. And then the food industry makes lots and lots of money if there's lots of little Johnnies out there pestering their parents, right? Okay. Ultra processed foods also tend to include additives and ingredients not typically used in home cooking, such as preservatives, emulsifiers, and artificial colors and flavors. Oof, emulsifiers. Doesn't that sound delicious? Who's cooking dinner tonight, honey? You? Okay. I'd like some lashings of emulsifiers, please. And if you could just kind of sprinkle some preservatives on top, that'd be awesome. And, you know, I didn't like the kind of baby poo brown color it was the other day. Could you please add some artificial colors into it to kind of brighten things up? Maybe like aqua blue tonight. That would be really nice. Thank you very much. However, so I'll make dinner tomorrow night. However, some experts question whether the link between ultra-processed foods and poor health is due to processing, additives, or because people who consume them tend to eat less nutritious other foods. All of the above. In a new article published in PLOS Medicine, the medicine lost its P. PLOS Medicine, experts argued that those less well off could be most affected by any blanket health warnings about ultra-processed foods without more scientific evidence. What more scientific evidence do you need than would you feed the garbage that's in these boxes in the middle aisles of the supermarket? What would you do if we were feeding that junk to animals? What would you do if you saw someone buying Fruit Loops and taking them down to the local pond and giving them to the ducks? You would say that's abuse of the ducks, right? You would say they're going to die. You're going to give them disease by giving them that, because that is what it does. And that's what it's going to do to humans. It's not fit for human consumption because it's not food. If it's in a box, if it's got a TV commercial, if it's got marketing of any description, it shouldn't be going in there. There. Okay. So, where was I before I went on the rant? Professor Eric Robinson, we're up here. Professor Eric Robinson from the University of Liverpool, who co-authored the study, has warned against the dangers of ultra-processed foods. Okay, good job. He's warned against the dangers. Okay, that's good. He cautioned foods classed as ultra-processed, which are high in fat, salt, and or sugar, should be avoided. But a number of ultra-processed foods are not. We should be thinking very carefully about what advice is being given to the public as opposed to providing simplified and potentially misleading messages that grab headlines. Okay, but a number of ultra-processed foods are not. So a number of ultra-processed foods are not bad for you. Which ones would they be? Please name them, Mr. Robinson. Please give us a list so that we may evaluate them on our own, rather than you and your expert friend. Let the public do the evaluation. The study highlights the social cost for many people with more limited resources when convenient options are removed, and notes the potential negative mental health impacts on those who worry about their health or live with eating disorders, particularly if social circumstances making avoiding ultra-processed foods difficult. So get stuffed. Don't make this a political thing by saying that anyone who wants to avoid ultra-processed foods is going to get an eating disorder. People that want to avoid ultra processed foods want to be healthier. It's got nothing to do with an eating disorder. You are playing into the hands of the food industry, or you're doing their bidding. If you're saying that someone who wants to avoid ultra processed garbage that's basically cardboard painted with colors, they want better health. It's got nothing to do with an eating disorder. And the other political side of this is saying people with limited resources, right? The reason they have limited resources is because you have them addicted to garbage that doesn't fill them up, that they have to keep going and buying again and again and again and again and again. Teach them how to eat real nutritious food like steak or ground beef or eggs, and they will spend less money because they're eating foods that actually have nutrition in them and will keep them satisfied for longer. So they don't have to eat 25 snacks a day. It also mentions that avoiding some types of ultra-processed foods could inadvertently lead individuals to opt for alternatives that are higher in energy or macronutrients of concern. This is the passive-aggressive dig at saturated fat. Saturated fat is a macronutrient of concern, and it's higher in energy. The macronutrient of concern, the only macronutrient of concern, is carbohydrate, and it's the only one that's unnecessary. Mr. Robinson added, "We know with certainty that foods which are energy dense and or high in saturated fat, salt, or sugar are detrimental to health, and we should continue to advise consumers to limit consumption of these foods. Likewise, we should be encouraging consumption of health-promoting foods like fruits, vegetables, and whole grains." Of course, let's just go back to the same old advice we've always given, because when we give the same old advice, people go and do the same old things, right? They're going to go, "Oh, yes, I know fruits and vegetables and whole grains are good for me," but they're still going to go and buy the cereal. And what happens when they have the bowl of Fruit Loops? As soon as they've finished it, they want another bowl of Fruit Loops, and they want another bowl and another bowl, right? How many people do you know that go, "Well, I've had 3 bowls of Fruit Loops, I should leave room for an apple"? No one. Professor Alexandra Johnston from the Rowett Institute of Nutrition and Health at the University of Aberdeen, and one of the study's authors, said, "Ooh, she's from Aberdeen." Okay, so she's the proclaimer here. I don't know if they were from Aberdeen. So let me try. I don't have a Scottish accent, but let me try and put on a Scottish accent here. I don't know if she's Scottish, but she's at a Scottish university. So let's give it a go. I'm going to embarrass myself here. "We must guard against the possibility that the people in our society who are already most at risk of not being able to afford to eat healthily are not put in an even worse position as we continue to investigate the links between some ultra-processed foods and poor health. People can afford healthy food if you people get out of the way and the food industry gets out of the way, and people can understand that real food like red meat, like fish, like eggs, things like that are nutritious and satisfying. And when you eat them, you don't have to continually eat foods. And so you don't have to spend as much money on junk, right? So you can lie to people and you can say, "Look, you're going to save so much money because these Fruit Loops or these bran flakes or whatever they are so cheap, aren't they? They're on special this week and they're so cheap. You can get a whole box for only $1." And then people are like, oh, that's amazing. So they buy a box, they take it home. What happens? That box is gone in 10 minutes and they're back buying another one. It's not cheaper if you've got to buy 500 boxes of it a week. More Scottish accent time. Sorry about this, guys. I'm using myself. We need more high quality mechanistic research in humans using controlled diets to tease out the effects of nutrient profile and ultra processing per se. Based on the balance of current evidence, we do not believe it's appropriate to be advising consumers to avoid all ultra processed foods. And we await further evidence to inform consumer guidance on the need to limit consumption of specific foods based on their degree or type of processing. It's bad. It's not food. We don't need more research. If we need more research on this, we also need more conclusive research on whether sitting down really fast on upended knitting needles is bad for you. No one's done studies on this, so we don't really know if standing your knitting needles up and then sitting down rapidly on said knitting needles is bad for your bowels or not. And we don't want to frighten anyone by saying that it is until we have those studies available. So go on with your knitting needles. Do your worst. Professor Johnston detailed her funding sources, including UK research and innovation charities and the Scottish government. She said, I also lead the... No, hang on a sec. She said, I also lead the DIO Food Project, also funded by the UKRI, with other UK retailers involved in data analysis and the consumer trend reporting around HFSS purchase patterns. Don't know what that means. The fact there's UK retailers involved in anything is not a good sign, I wouldn't think, but her funding sources look like government ones. All right, there's still more. Professor Robinson revealed that between 2014 to 2016, he was involved in research funded by Unilever and the American Beverage Association. Aha! Mr. Robinson. He said, I do not receive any financial awards or fees from the food industry. Yes, but what about in the future? What kind of job may you receive in the future? What kind of benefits might you get later on if you say nice things now? Who knows? I'm not accusing you of anything, but who knows? Oh, we have another player. Dr. Hilda Mulrooney, a nutrition expert at London Metropolitan University, commented on the significance of the study, saying, this is an important and timely paper. Timely for who? The food industry, given the current level of interest in ultra-processed foods and their potential effects on health. She added, it is important to acknowledge the fact that for some groups in particular, foods classed as ultra-processed foods make very significant contributions to nutrient intakes, and these would be difficult to achieve otherwise. No, they wouldn't if people replaced them with actual food. So you're on a plane and they come down with a little cart and they say, hello, sir, would you like the chicken or the fish? Right? Well, this is one of these moments. This is like, hello, sir, would you like the steak or the piece of cardboard smeared with sizzling chemicals? And please make the decision quickly because the chemicals are burning their way through the cardboard. Dr. Mulrooney, much of the research available shows associations between ultra-processed foods and health outcomes and cannot demonstrate causality. These are the same idiots that will cite studies, epidemiological studies, the same associative studies that say that eating red meat gives you diabetes or cancer or heart disease, that people who consume more saturated fat are more likely to develop this problem, and this problem. It's the same thing, but when it's the thing they want to protect, for whatever reason, in this case, ultra-processed foods, then of course, association means nothing. It's not that strong a thing. But hang on, red meat. Idiots. This distinction is important given that many ultra-processed foods, for example, breakfast cereals and breads, make substantial contributions to nutrient intakes in the UK population. Does it really? So guys, I'd love to know what you think about this one. Please let me know in the comments below. Sorry about my bodgy Scottish accent, and check out this video next.